Hello everybody. Welcome back to another Civ 6 live stream. I'm here once again with Anton Strenger.
Yeah.
And we are very pleased to announce that we're going to be able to show you both the Civ that was just revealed this morning, Norway.
Yeah.
And then also go into some more details on some religious play with Spain that we kind of have built up towards in the last couple live streams, but we really wanted to show you some of the details this time. So we actually have a game kind of queued up, ready to roll.
Yeah.
And it was actually brand new game that we created this morning using Norway.
Yeah.
And so Anton's going to start walking you through that, and I'll be commentating on some of the cool things about Norway that we can see in this build.
All right. So here we are. We kind of have this starting island up here.
And actually, before we go too far, let's first talk about the fact that this is a separate map script that we have not shown before.
Yeah.
This is the Island Plates map script. And it's similar to the Archipelago map type that we had in Civ 5, but with slightly larger land masses that are sort of friendlier to Civ 6 style cities.
Mm.
And so this is sort of the default watery map that will be used in Civ 6 games. It's great for civs like Norway and England and some of the other naval powers.
Yeah. And the terrain's a little bit different too. Like we're not seeing as many mountains as we would on like a Continents or a Pangea map.
Right. And that's actually plays really well for Norway. Norway gets their faith bonuses mostly from woods.
Mm-hmm.
And with mountains being rarer on these type of maps, but woods still being found in like the normal numbers, you can see right here we picked a holy site that had
got some good woods.
Yeah,
right there,
some woods nearby. And once we get the Stave Church up and going in that holy site district, it'll be pulling in a bunch of extra bonuses.
Yeah, and we're pretty close to that. We got theology coming in 5 turns. So yeah, once we can get some stave churches, that'll really power up our religion. And we're going to talk more about religion with the Spain game, but just as a note, we have a shrine in our holy site here, which allows us to train missionaries. We don't quite have enough faith for one right now, but that's a part of the game that Norway, especially on this map and with this start, would be really well set up for. But another fun part of Norway that we want to show off, in addition to the Odinism sort of religion that we have here. So we founded our Odinism religion. We're ready to spread it. We can do that with the missionaries, with the apostles, with the stave churches, but we also have our Viking longships ready to go.
And I want to point out that it's 800 AD, which is within 7 years of historically when the Viking raids started. The first one was 793 AD on the island of Lindisfarne on the east coast of England.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Viking history, and we did start this game with a classical era start, so we jumped ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But I played through, and it just happened to be that our longships were deployed and ready to roll right at the exact time when they should be historically.
And our target in this game, this alternate history, is not England, but Japan. So down here, we have our glorious longship army. We have 4 longships here. 2 of them are actually promoted. So this one here has the boarding promotion, which we get gold from naval victories. So that's good if we happen to run into other ships. And this one here has the loot promotion. So they'll get more gold from coastal rage, which is perfect because the Viking longship, that's kind of its forte.
Yeah, there actually were a whole bunch of barbarian quadriremes up near the home city, up near the capital.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to punch my way through those to get this kind of armada of Viking longships here poised to head down. The other thing I did earlier was Japan was kind of getting snooty about the way I was building my military. We triggered their leader agenda in a negative way.
Right. Yeah, I can take a look at that real quick. Yeah, so he doesn't look very friendly right now. He's got his hand on his sword. Yeah, so the Bushido agenda. So he likes civs with a strong military and faith and culture output. So if you're kind of out of balance like we might be right now, then he's not going to be so friendly.
Yeah, and he typically wants to look for things like you're building an encampment, so you're training your units effectively, and he also wants to make sure you're doing some faith and culture, and we just got our holy site online and haven't done anything at all with culture so far.
Yeah.
So we're definitely, and he doesn't care about it if you don't have a strong military, but if you have a strong military and you're ignoring the faith and culture side of the game, that's when you trigger his agenda. And we're definitely sort of playing that way, that he's just not going to be friendly to us unless we kind of go back and backtrack and build up our culture, and I don't think we feel like doing that. We'd rather just attack him.
In this case, yeah, I think it's working out great for us because he has, and again, this is where the sort of map script is particularly well set up for Norway here. You know, just like in history, Japan is kind of this sort of island nation. They have a lot of juicy tiles, it seems, that are like might be within range of our coastal rating. So let's send our longships down the way here and kind of investigate if it's worth starting a war over. Another nice thing about Norway's bonuses is this guy took some damage, probably from an earlier quadrireme combat, but Norway can actually heal, or the longship can actually rest and repair, even though it's in the middle of the ocean. So he's still pretty high health, so I'm going to send him along with the rest of them, but that's something to keep in mind too.
Yeah, if we need to, we don't have to go back home. We can keep just raiding around the map.
Yeah. And then here we're kind of ousting a barbarian scout. Scouts, one of the things that's neat in Civ 6, I think we've mentioned this before, but scouts are actually the first in a line of military units called the recon class. And so eventually they become rangers, and they actually can hold their own in combat, especially early in the game, especially going toe-to-toe with the scout. And with the movement, they're really good at kind of flanking your enemies, exerting zone of control in places that you need it to keep people from getting away, and that sort of thing. So we've got another longship here. We can go see what's going on down here. And some barbarians. So if that camp was not guarded, we'd be able to coastal raid it. But
that's one of the cool things the coastal raid does. Yeah. If you have a ship and it comes across either an empty barbarian camp or a tribal village that's on the coast, you can just kind of just pluck it as you go by and get the rewards from it without having to even land anyone on the coast.
All right, so I'm going to build another long ship just in case we need another one.
Okay, and you are playing right along with Harold's agenda here. And if you remember, one of the things that I talked about last time is why I love sort of role-playing our different leaders and looking at what their own agenda are and then sort of playing along that style. And Harold's agenda is that he wants to have the largest navy of anyone in the game. And it's sort of parallel to Cleopatra's agenda, where she likes people that have large navies. He likes to build his up, and he respects you if you are also playing the naval game, but if you have ignored naval pursuits entirely, then he's going to get annoyed with you.
Gotcha.
So playing along his way, we're going to definitely build a big navy, and then we're going to pick on those people who leave their coasts entirely unprotected.
Right. Another cool thing about Norway, which we can actually see here, I think this turn, is we can bring up kind of like our portrait here. So this is us, the guy we are role-playing as, and allows coastal raiding for all naval mail units, so we're going to make use of that shortly. Units also gain the ability to enter ocean tiles after researching shipbuilding, and units ignore additional movement costs from embarking and disembarking. So we can take this scout. Normally, if he were to embark, it would kind of take his whole turn, but he can actually get on there, move, and just about disembark on this other place over here. So let's continue our longship exploring here. Let's send 2 down here, and then maybe 2 up this way, see if there's something over there. Okay.
Yeah, that embarking and disembarking can be really, really handy. You just can get guys across your empire much faster than normal. Even internally, it's great. But then when you're sending an army to land on a shoreline, you get ashore very, very quickly.
Yeah. This is our promotion screen. It's been through a few revisions. I think this is the latest one. So we get to see kind of like all the different things that we have available. And these will stick with us if we upgrade him later into the more advanced recon class. Oh, the archer found us.
Now, the only other civ that we found in this game is Philip of Spain.
Right.
And we did find where his capital is, but we haven't really scouted his coastline either.
Right. And we finished our military tactics tech, which brings us into the medieval era. Lets us do some pikemen and the berserker, our unique unit, which is really cool. They are better at attacking and worse if they're defending. So you basically have to bring them to the front
Keep
line,
attacking with
charge the lines. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a pretty cool play style. Let's just have this scout sit still so we can see some other stuff. So, okay, there's like a plantation with a luxury resource right here, which might be a good target. Let's go see that. What do you...
It takes most of your movement points for a turn to do a coastal raid. So you want to park your guys right offshore.
Yeah, so I think
and
this
get
guy
ready
is
for it.
well staged, and I might try to see if there's another target over here. And if so, I can declare war next turn and see what comes of it.
And I did set up for
Oh,
this
yeah.
by denouncing them more than 5 turns ago. So we don't have to declare a surprise war on them. We actually can,
We can take use of the cast a spell ISIS now.
and at least get a formal war, which will cut down our warmongering penalty quite a bit.
Yeah, so Spain won't think as badly of us for going to war with their neighbor. So this is actually a really great spot. We got a horse pasture
improvements
here.
everywhere.
There's a mine. There's another mine. So yeah, I think this is worth it. So I'm gonna pass the turn, but then I'm gonna declare war and get things going.
Is he gonna warn us about having troops on his border, or you think we're gonna be okay on that?
When I played earlier, Philip was upset about that, but I think Japan was just already didn't like us and was just kind of writing it off. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Let's just get some basic buildings here. Keep exploring.
Did you
down
build
this
a
way.
berserker in one of the cities?
Oh, I did not. You know, I should do that. Let's get one of those going. Berserker!
It's gonna be 8 turns though.
Yeah,
might
just in
do
case. He can be the reinforcements. He can be the landing party
Yes.
later in the
You
game.
can at least take out that barbarian camp right across the
He could.
water.
That's right.
Although, yeah, they got some forces
The
there.
archer's still in range. Yeah, they got swordsmen too. That's a little rough. But if we're on the attack, we'll still have the advantage, I think. So, get some farms going.
Yeah, right before I made the save, I was queuing up builders in both the cities because they were kind of under improved.
Nice. Yeah, so that's the disembark that's very cheap again. Here we go. Okay. Oh, yeah.
No, okay, this is where he's issuing his complaint about us not training our army the right way again.
Yeah. Where can your people do so? We don't have encampments. We're too busy just churning out the
Yeah, it
long
had
ships.
been probably 20, 25 turns since he gave me that warning, so he's popping back up again.
Gotcha, yeah. Okay, well, it's fine that he's upset, because he's about to be more upset. One of the nice things, too, with the healing anywhere is, like, if you get caught by one of these archers on the, oh, okay.
Oh, he did catch us out on having everybody on
He
his
called us
borders.
out on it, so...
Okay, now if you declare war here, it's a trade-off.
Right.
It'll be a surprise war.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit more warmongering penalty, so Spain won't like you as much.
Right.
If you ignore this request and go out and do the declare war screen, Japan will hate you a little bit more for having blown him off on this screen.
But the rest of the world
But the
will-
rest of the world will be okay. And I think since
Gotcha.
we're going hot and heavy against Japan, I recommend proceeding that way and ignoring the request here.
We'll go through the proper channels.
Yeah,
Even
and then go
Vikings.
go through the Viking diplomatic service
Yes.
and have them do the declaration of war for us.
All right, so we'll just kind of hang out by Spain here. Get some of those builders going. What else? Another berserker. It'll take a while, but that's okay. Okay, so now let's go through the proper channels. So we can declare a surprise war here, but we have a casus belli, we have a just cause for war because we denounced them a long time ago. They know we're not cool anymore.
Right.
So we're going to declare formal
And
war.
so we have the moderate warmonger penalty instead of the heavy one.
Yeah. So here we go.
Think he's going to do something with that sword?
Uh-oh. The sword is out.
And we do have to remember that Japan has a bonus for defending on coastal tiles.
That's true.
Both land coastal tiles and the shallow waters right next to their coastline.
So actually, they're pretty well set up for an island plates map as well.
They are.
But let us begin the raiding. It looks like there's actually, he doesn't have any units, not any ships around here. So, there we go. Raid the plantations. 25 faith.
Okay, notice that we got faith from a plantation.
We did.
We get different pillaging rewards based on exactly what type of improvement it is or which type of district it is.
Yeah.
So the two ways you get faith are either from pillaging plantations or pillaging holy sites. But they're also, like mines give you science, campuses give you science. So there's sort of a way to get pretty much any of the different yield types.
Yeah. So that one's on fire. That's nice. Let us move in here. We might not be able to do it this turn, but we can get this mine next turn, and this horse pasture as well. Actually, we might as well get in position of the mine as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we're well set up for
he has
bloody
no
next turn.
defenses.
Yeah, he has
right?
no defenses. He probably was not expecting Vikings from the coast. That's
Right.
his mistake.
Yeah.
And then we can see what else is further down here. So that's his capital. And we got some gossip about him earlier. He founded Buddhism somewhere. It looks like it's not in Kyoto. That just has his pantheon. But maybe we'll find his holy city too.
Rumor has it. Okay, so Preslov was one of our city-states allies.
Yeah.
And so we just heard that they made the declaration of war as well.
Yeah.
So they're on board. Now they're not contiguous with Japan, so they're probably not going to be exerting any pressure on them. But
I think they're on the other side of Spain, if I remember right. Yeah, there's Preslav there. Yeah.
And actually, Seoul is a brand new city-state that we're just letting everyone know about for the first time.
Yeah.
And so Seoul is a scientific city-state, and they have a unique bonus that whenever you enter a new era and you have them as your ally at the moment you cross into that new era, you get a tech boost randomly. And I think I saw that happen. Remember we crossed in the medieval era?
That's
right
what that
earlier?
was. Yeah.
And we actually ended up getting the tech boost for the Berserker.
Yeah. Which
to
is
finish that
perfect.
technology. it lined up perfectly for us, and now we can sort of explain why.
Yeah, and we also can see, that they have a bunch of resources as well, which we'll get control of since we're their suzerain. And then Preslav over here, I forget if we've showed them off before, but they will give our light and heavy cavalry units bonus combat strength.
We're not going to have any of those.
No, we're mostly a naval focus. It's nice to have them as our suzerain.
Light and heavy long ships, maybe, but probably not cavalry.
Yeah, so this is an example where, we would, based on the suzerain, we might focus on one more than the other.
Right. We have 2 extra envoys. We just haven't met that many city-states yet on this map, so I was saving them up for meeting some new ones.
And actually, there was in earlier builds, you would have to send all of your envoys if you were able to before passing the turn. And there were some very good complaints against that. So I went back and I changed it so you can save envoys if you want. So in a situation like this where I'm already suzerain with all the city-states I want, in case I meet another one, I might want to spend them there instead. Especially if you're still exploring the map and stuff like that. We could send it's kind of far, but we're a naval civ, we can protect it. So let's send a trade route to Seoul, give us a lot of gold. Yeah. And because it's a scientific city-state, it will give us science as well. It has a campus there as well, so that's also helping. But let us continue the raids here. Get the builders going. That's fine, just stay still. Heal up. Heal up as well. Back to what's important. All right, so come in here. All right. Now I'm going to choose the horses first in case he would use them to create units to try to destroy us.
Okay, we got gold from the pasture.
We got gold from the pasture, and then we can pillage the mine here as well. It gives us some science. Yeah, so we're breaking in the money. We're getting science. We're getting faith.
You got
Lots of plunder. All right, so that's a good first round of raiding. We could keep going, but I think we want to get to the Spain game and show off more of the religion. So here we speak Spain over here, but we're going to load into a Spain game of our own and see more about how the mechanics are working. Oh, perfect. That's how we just got theology, as if it was a sign.
So actually, let's just check and make sure. I don't think we quite have enough gold to build a stave church, but let's see if it's possible.
Yeah, let's check that out. All right, so we'll build our berserker here. Let's check it out.
Oh,
No,
not
we're a
quite
little
enough.
short. Yeah,
Okay.
420 is what we would
Well,
need.
more rating is in order to get our religion fully stoked. But
Yes, we need to pillage more, and then we can afford it.
yes, exactly.
All right.
It's the Viking way.
Cool.
All right, so Norway's a great civ, lots of fun to play. Everyone's going to have a fun time checking them out. But we're going to go ahead and get going on talking about some more of the religion system.
Yeah, and this is all you.
Yep, I'm going to drive this one now. To give the background here, this game was one that I started a little while back, and I set it up for a continents map because I wanted to take advantage of Spain's bonus in sending trade routes from one continent to another.
Right.
And they get, if they are doing an internal trade route between continents, they get extra food and production to fuel the growth of their foreign colonies. Mm-hmm. And then also if they're doing a trade route with another player across a continental boundary, the yields are also boosted there. They get extra gold and so forth.
Yeah.
So
very historical.
Spain, yes, it's their treasure fleet bonus, and it can be very, very helpful. So the way it worked out, let me slide down to our capital, Madrid here. This is where I started out. It was a very interesting start location because first of all, we had the Pantanal Natural Wonder just to our south. It wasn't quite, I didn't reveal it on the first turn, so I didn't know it was there when I settled the capital. Mm-hmm. The capital is actually at the end of a river that winds across the continent. But I had this great spot to both put in nice farmland for the capital, and then I also could get a science bonus for the campus being
right.
next to the mountain. We got the Oracle built, so I've been doing great on some great people. And all in all, it's been a sort of interesting setup for a Civ. One thing I have targeted is that Madrid is going to need one more district, which is the harbor. And I used our map pin system, which we have over here, which is just sort of a handy way of marking tiles that you might want to designate for future placements. So this particular one I designated as a harbor, but there are all sorts of options to go ahead and like if I want to place another map pin somewhere, I can go ahead and click. That's not what I meant to do. I can click on a hex and set up a map pin and mark that maybe my industrial zone should go somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
And so
or maybe
forth.
you want Petra to be on that desert tile and you're kind of planning for it or something like that.
Right. So we have a bunch of different symbols. This is like the district symbol, and you can label them different ways. So it's very fun in terms of being able to plan out your empire and sort of, oh wait, I don't actually want to put down a farm or something here because that spot is reserved for future growth.
Right. Or if you're like wrapping up a game at 2 or 3 in the morning, as can happen, and you're like, I need to make a note to myself. I want to remember to do this when I pick the game up again.
Right. So Madrid was the first city I settled. Then I settled Sevilla, and that's where my holy site is. That's where the holy city for our religion is. It's next to 2 natural wonder tiles.
Yeah.
So it's getting 10 faith right out of that tile right now. So that's awesome. I am working on, assuming that I'm going to explore the other continent later in the game. So I'm working on building up my naval infrastructure as best I can. So Sevilla is about to finish one more turn until the Colossus is done.
One more turn.
And Colossus gives you extra trade routes,
Yeah.
so that's going to help with our trade empire
It'll synergize
as
with
well.
the bonus really well.
The other thing that was interesting is this is a huge landmass that we're on, and it's actually so large, it's divided into multiple continents. So we want to look at our continent lens, and you can see, it might be a little tricky to tell, but there's sort of a purplish continent where China's homeland is, and then a red continent over here that we're sharing with America and several city-states. And Madrid happened to start out right on the border between the continents. So that treasure fleet bonus, people are wondering about like how are these continent bonuses going to work on a Pangea map where everything's one big landmass. This is sort of a great example of that, is that on this large landmass where there's not a lot of naval activity going, I can still get my cross, intercontinental trade bonuses active. And so that's what I've done a lot, is I've sent trade routes from Madrid to my other cities, which happen to both be on the other continent,
Yeah.
and have gotten some really nice bonuses out of that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Europe and Asia and how they're often called Eurasia. It's kind of like a fuzzy continent boundary in real life, in the real world. And so this is kind of a landmass like that, where you have, one over here and one over there, but by crossing them, you're able to take advantage of your bonus.
Right. Now, in terms of where I am going with research, on the civic side of things, I'm about to civil service, and let's go ahead and look at that. That's important because that's when you can first do alliances.
Cool.
But one thing that will come into play soon is it would be really nice if I could get up to diplomatic service, because that's where all the different casus belli unlock, where I can declare a holy war, a liberation war, a reconquest war, or a protectorate war.
Yeah.
And so there are lots of options on how to get into wars. We showed before that you could formally declare war to reduce the warmongering penalty.
Yeah.
But these are great ways to get into war without really having to have your diplomatic respect with the rest of the world take a hit.
Right. Your diplomatic service is explaining, look, they conquered our homeland, and we need to, this is a just cause. Please
so
don't
that's sort of
take
exactly what's been going on in this situation. Is I've been watching what's been going on to my north, and China and the Americans have been having a pretty prolonged conflict up here.
Yeah.
We can notice, for instance, that both Chicago and Charleston, not Chinese cities when they were founded, are now under Chinese control.
And following their religion, too.
Yes, and following Taoism. So Teddy Roosevelt, he's not particularly, hasn't been that friendly with me so far. You can tell he actually went ahead and denounced me. I moved troops right through his lands because I was trying to scout above that, and we settled some cities near them. So up until now, our relationship has been a little bit on the rough side. But I have hopes that we can mend that back. And I don't want China getting too strong, so what I'd really like to do is eventually get to the point where I've unlocked those casus belli, and it'd be nice to declare a liberation war where I could go ahead and liberate Charleston and Chicago from the Chinese and give them back to Teddy Roosevelt. Then
He would
definitely,
like that, yeah.
definitely be happy with us there.
And kind of maintain a balance of power, probably let your religion spread.
Right, and I know, in terms of who has founded religions in this game, there are two religions, Judaism and Protestantism, which were founded probably on the other continent.
Gotcha.
So on my continent, religious-wise, it's just the Chinese and I. And they founded Taoism in Xi'an, and they're dominant in 7 cities. And we founded Catholicism, and we're dominant in 6. So this is a real...
It's a close race.
Yeah, tough struggle between the two of us. And so we know, both in terms of religion, we're going to come into conflict, and also I am working on a wonder right now.
Yeah, Chin's not going to like that.
So, things are kind of come to a head between us and China sooner or later. So I'm not worried if I do something to anger him, it's okay. It's sort of all part of the master plan here.
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to get my religion up and going, we have good faith output. I showed you that 10 faith holy site. We're getting 23 faith a turn.
That's pretty good.
We've been able to build a couple apostles. And so let's look at what's going on in the religious game right away. Okay, so here we select our apostle, and the map gets color-coded. There's sort of the deeper red, pink is Taoism. Unfortunately, Catholicism is kind of a similar color, but you can tell the lighter color is where our religion is predominant. And Stockholm here, another city-state that we're just talking about for the first time, is sort of the religious frontline battleground right now. So Qin has sent his missionary right here out to that front line of the battleground, and we have an apostle. Our apostle gets a special promotion. His special promotion is he's the proselytizer, so he, if he spreads religion to a city, it actually wipes out all the enemy religion there. It's a very strong ability. So we don't want him to die. We want to use his 2 spread religion charges against Chinese cities where we can.
Yeah.
But at the moment, he's sort of 1 tile away from the Chinese missionary who's already been damaged, and it's about time for him to enter theological combat.
Yes.
And we will go and notice we have 2 of them. That represents that there are 2 charges to spread them.
just like the builders were too.
Just the way the builders work. So we're going to go ahead and we've got him selected. We get a combat preview of what the religious combat's going to look like. That missionary is on holy ground. That's because that city is following Taoism right now. So we're not attacking them in an ideal place. But one thing that we have is all of Spain's units get bonuses against units of other religions, both in military combat and in religious combat.
Yeah.
So we're getting a +4 for that. So we're going to go ahead and make this attack. It looks like it's a major victory, so we'll see what happens here. So a little bit of smoke, a little bit of lightning, boom, the religious combat happens. It's like a melee battle, so we go in and advance in. And Jin's not so happy.
Oh, yeah. He even called out it was a proselytizer.
He licked up our promotion, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so he thinks that this is not good. He wants our religious units to get out of his land. But we're Spain. We're playing for a religious victory. And so it is God's will that his people will believe in our ways. And we're going to enforce that.
There we go.
Okay, so your apostle destroyed an enemy missionary. Let's go back up to Stockholm and look real quick at what might have happened to the religious pressure. Remember, Stockholm, he was getting a bonus because it was
holy ground for him.
Holy ground for him, and now it's part of our religious sphere.
Yeah, and we didn't even have to use our spread to do it.
Right. It was just the fact that we won the religious combat. The defeated religion goes down in all cities within 10 tiles, and the winning religion goes up in all cities within 10 tiles. And we can see we're actually getting some nice Catholic pressure in these adjacent cities. Charleston, it's getting very close. We can flip that very soon.
Yeah, and everyone in Stockholm said, wow, we heard about this great debate right outside our city gates, and there was lightning, and this Spanish religion seems really cool. Maybe we should try that out.
Right.
And 4 people agreed, and 2 people were sticking behind.
Exactly. Let's actually look at Stockholm's bonus. We haven't shown that off. So you want to talk about Stockholm a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So they're one of the 4 scientific city-states. So they're going to have those type bonuses, which help your science both in your capital and then eventually in your campus districts. But their unique bonus is really cool. It's inspired by things like the Nobel Prize and stuff like that. So your districts provide an additional great person point of their type. And then for theater square districts, which kind of like will give points for writers, artists, and musicians, they'll give one of each of those as well. So it basically powers up your districts to give more great people points. Normally, a district will give 1 point at base and then 1 point for each building in it. So a campus with all 3 buildings in it would give 4 great scientist points per turn. With Stockholm, you're going to get 5 per turn. And it's an ability that's especially useful earlier in the game, because when you only have your campus or you just have a library, that +1 point is like doubling your rate. And it's doing so for all your districts. So whatever you decide to focus on, great people wise, you're going to be doing a lot better at it.
And actually, let's take a look at that.
Sure. Yeah, so who we got here? We cannot recruit the great prophet Martin Luther because we already have one of our own.
Right.
But we skip
this is ironic here, though. Spain is doing quite well with the harbor that I built towards recruiting Francis Drake.
That's funny. Like, we will not have him fight against us, but he must join us.
Yeah,
in this
so
version
we
of
got to
history.
catch up with this unmet player.
Yeah.
But we're getting 2.4 points a turn. They're getting 3.5. Okay, that little pin saying build a harbor, that might be a good pointer. Maybe we'll get Francis Drake if we get another harbor down.
If I remember right, the Colossus might help us with that as well. I'd have to double check. But yeah, some of the wonders will give great people points in addition to their other benefits. So yeah, and that harbor marker might be good. If we were really desperate, once we have a harbor district, we could use a city project, like in Sevilla, for example, and kind of like use production to earn ourselves more great admiral points. But it's not super important right now. The Colossus is really close. 1 production point left.
Yeah, I don't think it gives us the...
Okay, it has to be next to a harbor, but it doesn't give great people
Right.
points itself. Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then the other thing that I was thinking of, especially because we've actually had some rumors that in this battle between China and Washington, we've had rumors that some of the American cities have been put under siege. It's come through to us through the diplomatic visibility and gossip system. And so I'm kind of, I've said that my goal is to hold off and not declare war on China until we can make it a liberation war and we have the casus belli for it. But I am thinking that kind of finding out exactly what's going on around the American cities to see how threatened they are would be kind of a good idea. And one interesting way to do that is with Stockholm here, they have a military, and we are the suzerain of them.
We are.
And I think it'd be kind of fun to go ahead. It's not the greatest military in the world. Obviously, they're behind the times and still have a lot of warriors.
2 warriors and a catapult. Yes.
But yeah, there is a catapult, and we haven't built any catapults yet, so that might be nice to take control of. So I think maybe we should go ahead and levy them.
We could do it. Yeah. How much would it cost? Okay, 238.
And so we have the gold to do that. We're making 40 gold a turn from our trade routes.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do that. We can show that off.
Give it a try.
Okay, and so what has happened?
And that triggered our civic boost. That's awesome.
For mercenaries,
which is very fitting.
It's super fitting because we just hired a bunch of Stockholmian mercenaries.
We did.
And so what has happened is they can't move this turn, but they have turned into Spanish troops. And we get a little tooltip saying that we levied them from Stockholm and how many turns we have left of their usage.
Yeah.
So probably strategically what we should have done is wait till that exact moment we're declaring war with China and then levy them and then send them in. But in terms of what we're doing on the live stream today, I think it's great fun
to
show
off. Yeah, and it's risky though too, because depending on how far ahead of the suzerain you are, like as soon as you lose suzerain status, that levy is canceled and the units are returned to Stockholm.
Right.
So if China was being,
and we should have checked that before we did it.
So
China's only 1 behind.
This might be bad.
Yeah. So we could lose them next turn if they invest in an envoy in them.
Right. So if they send it out, then the players first will be tied for suzerain, so nobody is suzerain. So the levy will go back.
Right.
But maybe it'll divert China's attention a little bit.
Worst come to worst, we lost 6 turns of gold.
Yeah, we're raking it in, so just cause some chaos and see what happens from it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and in Madrid, we just put in a commercial district right here along the river.
Perfect.
Has +6 gold it's making. Let's go ahead and put a market there and crank that up even further. We do have a second apostle. He's down here to try to convert the city-state of Hattusa. And he also has a promotion because he's an apostle, and that is the orator promotion, which gives him 2 extra spreads. So he actually, I've used him a couple times, and I just used him once, I guess, and he still has two spread charges left. But right now we got this builder in the way. Let's actually, barbarian horseman there, hopefully. Actually, this guy does not exert zone of control over the river.
Right.
Because zone of controls never go over rivers. So if we move this way, the horseman's going to... Our apostle's kind of caught. We're just going to have to hold and hope that situation works itself out. And then this scout, I was trying to scout around. I got open borders from China. I noticed they were starting to build the Great Wall.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted to send scouts up that way around him. And then this scout here, I don't know, not a whole lot to do, but I think I'll push him across to the unknown over here.
On the other side of Teddy.
Take a couple turns for him to get there.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and see what happens between turns here.
And while we're watching the events unfold too, so China's bringing missionaries to us. We have apostles. So like, what is the difference between apostles and missionaries, and why would we choose one or the other? You'd mentioned that apostles have promotions.
Right. And the way that works out, sort of the easiest way to explain that, if we go to the religion screen and we look, we can see that all the different types of religious units are portrayed on here, and it tells you what the rules are about them. Mm-hmm. So missionaries are just good for converting cities. So the first, you need to have a shrine in order to... we finished our Colossus. Let's watch the movie.
The artist expected as much bronze as seemed likely.
Oh, this reminds me, we should turn on the time of day.
Yeah, so our port looks glorious here at sunset, doesn't it?
Sure does.
It would look nice at sunset if we were at sunset maybe all the time.
Yeah. If only we had Civ game time warping abilities.
Oh, we've got too many people on his border.
That levy may have poked
let's
him a little too
pretend
hard.
we never heard this.
Sorry, your letter got lost in the mail. I don't know.
Okay, we were looking at our religious guys, but now we're distracted. We want to show the time of day system off.
Yes.
So,
Let's go into our options.
and one of the game options right here is time of day. And so right now we're playing and we're just setting the time to 11:41 a.m. Brightly lit, very clear, easy to tell what everything is on the map. But let's say that we like that sunset that we saw in that Colossus video. And we can just go ahead and we can return to our game and just have the game lit like that for as long as we want.
Yeah.
Or we can go back to that option screen and we can say, hey, let's rotate through the day-night cycle.
Yeah.
So that's actually what we're going to do. I wanted to show what the sunset looked like. It's pretty glorious. But we're going to go, and why don't we set it back a little bit earlier? We'll go to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but we'll tell it to cycle forward through time. Okay, so late in the day, but we'll get to sunset here in a second. Okay, so we're back on talking about the religious units. Let me go ahead and show that apostles are the next level up from the missionaries.
Right.
They're probably 2.5 times more expensive in terms of faith. So you really have to be ready to invest in them.
Yeah.
If you're just converting your cities, stick with the missionaries. But the apostles, they get both the special promotion that buffs them in some unique way. There's typically a couple promotions they get to choose between, so you don't always have, you're not locked into a specific one. And they can initiate theological combat, like we saw before. That missionary couldn't have attacked us, only we can attack him. And then the third kind is the Inquisitor. You have to actually burn an apostle and have him be the person who starts an inquisition for your civilization in order to be able to even build inquisitors at all.
Gotcha.
But once you've done that, then you can build these inquisitors, and they are very, very strong within your own territory. They can snuff out enemy religions very quickly with their charges, and they fight very strongly in religious combat in their own territory, and they can initiate attacks on enemy units that enter their territory. So that's sort of what the 3 different religious types of units are.
Then we have like 2 beliefs, and we have room for 2 more, which we can also add to by burning apostles. So it kind of like just depends, like
if we get a promotion we really like,
yeah,
like the orator and the proselytizer, I sent them out in the field.
yeah,
There are a couple others, like one is heathen conversion, and just kind of, in some games that's my favorite promotion because it takes all the barbarians that are adjacent to that particular apostle and converts them instantly to your military units.
yeah.
But in this particular game, we're kind of boxed in by China and America and these city-states. We haven't actually seen much barbarian combat at all in this game.
So if we got an apostle like
so if we
that-
got an apostle with that belief, was like, okay, you're going to start our Inquisition, or you're going to add a new belief to our religion, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have an increased trade route capacity because of the Colossus, so that's a nice thing. We have all these city-state units we can do it. Let's see if we can poke around here up towards the Chinese borders. Yes, here's their army. You can tell it's right outside Charleston.
Yeah. Might be heading for
It's
Washington.
definitely headed for Washington. Don't usually... Stockholm built a new unit.
Right. The new units they make during the levy don't
not
transfer
come
over.
Right.
Gives them some defensibility back home that way.
And then here we can tell, you can see how strong the trade route is back to Madrid just because it's across the continent boundaries.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to buff our cities. I think...
Are there any roads that you want to get?
I already
good.
have
Looks like
the
you're pretty
roads there,
connected,
the bridge,
yeah.
So within my own empire, I'm pretty much fine on roads.
Excellent.
Let's just go ahead and keep boosting our production here. So we'll go with the route to Madrid. Okay, and then this is the route that came into play with the Colossus. And wow, there's a nice trade route to Washington, and we're going to try to make our amends with Teddy and bolster him against the Chinese. So let's go ahead and send that route. Okay, and
Make a lighthouse for the those
Yeah.
admiral points.
yep. And then here we just finished an encampment. My thought was this was sort of our city that was closest to the military boundaries here. I love this little position right along the river line.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm less friendly with Teddy than the Chinese, but I'm expecting that to change, so I just sort of decided that was a nice place to start building up my military. The other thing that we're going to have, we had to do with this city of Valladolid was we had to set that up so that we could get water to it.
Right.
And I actually was in a quandary here. There were so many cities packed in around here that like the only tile free that was the minimum 4 tile distance from all my other cities was this one that actually wasn't on the river.
Okay.
But
So you
I
would've
just
settled on the
decided
river if you could.
settle there, throw a bunch of production its way with trade routes,
Yeah.
and use that to hook up an aqueduct. Luckily, I had aqueducts unlocked by the time I settled that city. So that city's
Perfect.
been kind of up and going pretty quickly here.
It also has our little water wheel turning the direction of the river, I believe, which is a nice little piece of tech that we put in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool detail in there.
So let's go ahead and put a district in here. We can show off some more adjacency bonus magic. I think actually the commercial hub is what's being recommended by our advisor.
Right.
And I think that does make a lot of sense because along the river, we're going to get +2 bonus for it being near a river.
Yeah.
And we'll also have
2 districts.
two
next to it.
districts next to it.
'Cause the
so it's going to be
aqueduct will
+3.
count.
So let's go ahead and put that down there.
Perfect.
Okay, and then obviously our religious unit is our newest selected unit
Might
because
be
we
that. I think it's the
flipped to that
apostle up
lens.
there,
So that's our
yeah.
apostle who just won the victory. And he can't actually engage in combat because this was a river here. He's gonna, oh no, he has enough movement. The trick, he's got 4 movement. So we're gonna do another religious battle. And this time it's not gonna kill off the enemy missionary, but I don't know, we gotta be careful with this guy. He's got some good spread charges. So if we see an enemy apostle, he should run.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
makes
watch
sense.
out for that. Notice that we've shifted into night.
Yeah. Our time of day is.
So the time of day system has rolled us around. And one other thing is this city-state down here,
That's a
Kandy,
really good one for you.
is a new city-state that we hadn't revealed before this live stream either.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and see what their bonus is. And this is quite interesting. Kandy is on the island of Sri Lanka,
I believe so, yeah.
And it's famous for the number of holy relics that have been, either found or brought there or whatever. I think the Buddha's tooth is there, and there are a bunch of relics there. I can't remember exactly which ones.
Yeah.
But because of that, we set up their bonus so that they are tied to a relic system.
Yeah.
And if you have them as your ally, if you're suzerain of them, and you discover a new natural wonder, you actually get a free relic at that point in time.
Yeah. Which gives us some faith, it gives us some tourism, it helps us with a culture victory or a religious victory. It's a very cool bonus. But again, kind of like Soul was in our other game, it's sort of critical when you time having that ally. So like, as Spain, we're preparing to maybe go explore the other landmass at some point. Right. But if while we're doing that, we're exploring some new natural wonders, we definitely want to have Kandy on our side.
Right. So that'll be critical. Right when we hit caravels and we have ocean exploration, that's the exact point that we want to make sure we have that city-state locked down.
For sure.
Probably also want to make sure we've got a couple holy sites with temples waiting to house relics.
Yeah, yeah. So we got some slots
and then
for
we
it.
would be totally perfectly set up to go ahead and profit from that.
I think Amsterdam's another new one for the live stream. You
Okay.
can check out their suzerain bonus. So Amsterdam's a trade city-state, one of the 4, and their suzerain bonus is that your trade routes to foreign cities earn 1 more gold for each luxury resource at the destination. So if you find a city, let's see, like Amsterdam itself has some gypsum there, which would count. New Orleans has some gems. So if you find another city that has just a ton of luxury resources, and you're suzerain with Amsterdam, basically this is the sort of like Dutch East India Company bonus, where like you find luxuries somewhere on the map, you trade it there, and you rake in a bunch of gold as a result.
And I was real lucky in this game because I sort of started on the city-state end of this continent, and not right up in each other's face like America and China did. So I was able to get to some of these city-states before other people did, and I guess there are 3 of them here that we've talked about that I'm suzerain of right now.
Yeah. So where do you think you'll send your envoy? We could bolster Stockholm and make sure China doesn't get the levy out from under us.
We've got to do that.
Yeah, that's probably the right call.
Okay. And our apostle's in even more trouble. The barbarian units are riding him down.
That heathen conversion would be very nice right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have the right promotion. All right. Well, you know what we can do, and we can't. There used to be a bug where we were allowed to launch an Inquisition or create a break outside, create a belief outside friendly territory, and unfortunately I fixed that bug, so we can't even do that. So he's just going to have to hope that the barbarian gets distracted or actually attacked by the city-state unit here.
Yeah.
And
oh, looks like it's becoming morning again.
yep, we're getting some sunrise. China's army is strong, but it's not well positioned around Chicago.
No, it's really not.
I think, honestly, we've got a few minutes left here, 10 minutes. Do you want to go to war for a little bit?
Sure. We've locked down Stockholm. I think it's going to be hard for him to catch us up. So
he's friendly at the moment. We have not denounced him, so this is going to be
egregious.
Horrible for warmongering. So obviously, do not play the game like this at home.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Don't try it at home. This
Don't
is
just
at
declare
home.
war.
Do the right thing. Get the Liberation War casus belli and make everyone realize that you're actually, a proponent of world peace. But in this particular game, we're not. So we're going to take advantage of all these units that we took from Stockholm, and we'll declare war on Qin.
Are we going to get another sword like last time?
No, just a finger wag.
Just an angry talking to.
Yes.
He's holding his sword, though. Yeah, I think he's not very pleased.
No, he probably shouldn't be either.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've forgotten Catherine was in this game too. She's way up north, past Teddy. We're going to take a warmongering hit from both these guys. See, minus 24 for our warmongering.
Yeah.
That's what the egregious warmongering penalty looks like. It's not good stuff.
Once you start taking advantage of the casus belli, it's a lot more manageable.
Right.
Yeah, it's really meant to encourage folks to play the diplomatic game and have particular goals in a war, like for the liberation, like we said, like going through and retaking Chicago and Charleston for Teddy.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and head towards Chicago, though.
He's got a chariot there, which in the jungle is not the best thing, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I'm not too impressed with Stockholm's military here. A lot of warriors and
yeah. Those catapults will be useful though, because we don't really have a siege.
We have a few units that we can send up.
Yeah.
And this guy probably should retreat.
I don't believe we have our conquistadors yet, do we?
No, that's sort of what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Gunpowder unlocks the conquistador for Spain, and so you can see that's
not too
that's
far.
up here.
Yeah, we've got to get military engineering first.
Right.
And something before that, but yeah.
So it's doable, especially if you play it the smart way. The smart way, again, is play for the Liberation War and get your conquistadors first. Stack some apostles with your conquistadors, so as soon as you conquer those cities of Charleston and Chicago, they instantly convert to your religion. There's just like
levy
all
Stockholm
sorts of
right away.
levy Stockholm, maybe after they produce that second catapult. That's the right way to play this game. Okay, so we'll see what the Chinese reprisal is like. we may have at least, and Kandy got in the war.
Excellent.
There were missionaries running for the protection of their city. And I'm hoping at least we took some pressure off Teddy, and so Washington may not be under siege anymore.
Yeah, looks like China's repositioning their catapults.
Definitely some interesting terrain for fighting here. This whole city's protected by a road jungle and a river.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the simplest thing to knock out.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like they have any encampments either. So, or I don't think they have walls at the moment. They'll probably get walls soon. And they must have iron somewhere because they got a swordsman up there. That might be bad.
Yeah.
They actually have a swordsman over by Washington as well.
Okay, and our apostle needs to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the interesting things about units that get damaged in religious combat is in order to heal, they have to go back to their holy site. And since this guy is going to be very useful to spread religion later or maybe combat.
Stamp out some missionaries.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that and send him back to the holy site. He's fast enough, he can get there in just a couple turns.
Yeah, the roads will help with that too.
And have him heal up. So we have a trade route leaving Sevilla. Wow, look at Amsterdam's gold. It must be.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
We have a trading post along the path.
Right. So passing through a trading post, which is basically a city we've traded with successfully already, will give us some more gold if it's a foreign city. And because it's a commercial city-state, it's giving some. And the other bonuses, I'm guessing, is partially Amsterdam's bonus itself, because Amsterdam has some gypsum there, so it applies its bonus to itself, which is kind of cool. Maybe we have a social policy helping our trade as well. I'm not sure. Yeah, 14 is quite a bit.
Haven't even looked at what our government's set up as.
It's the adjacency bonuses for holy sites. That makes sense.
We had this one in to finish the Colossus before anyone else,
right.
The Wonder Building one. And we're getting extra influence on city-states. And that's why we're getting plus 10 out of that holy site, is that we have the scripture economic policy to double that as well. So we're getting a question in from the chat. Can we talk a bit about how spread works? Spread of religion is relatively similar to the way things worked in Civ 5, in that cities within 10 tiles of each other exert pressure on each other. Mm-hmm. And the religion lens here that we're showing right now has been added to help visualize that. Next to each city, you can see both how many followers of different religions are present there, and also you get sort of a visual indication of how powerful its spread is by this sort of radar ping that's in the center of the city. So Sevilla is our holy city for Catholicism. You can see that sort of this radar ping is strongest here. Our other cities, because they have become Catholic, exert a small pressure on the other cities.
That's the majority.
But it's not going to be nearly as strong as what's coming from the holy site. Similarly, we can go up and see China's holy city of Xi'an, where the Taoist holy site is right here. That's exerting a strong pressure as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a combination of sort of, there's always this background ambient pressure between the cities. That's one way that religion spreads, but then with the active involvement of missionaries using their charges, apostles using their charges.
And the combat as well.
And then the combat changes. That's sort of how all the different battles occur. And again, in terms of the religious victory, which is our new victory condition, what you're trying to do with religious victory is you're trying to get your religion adopted by all the other major civs that are left in the game.
Right.
So we have gotten Catholicism adopted by more than half of our cities. So that means that Spain is fully converted to Catholicism. But we're going to have to go ahead and do that with the other 7 players. Mm-hmm. Either you have to, make sure that that player is fully believing in your religion in more than half their cities, or if they get wiped out, well, that works too as satisfying the victory condition. So sometimes there can be a little bit of a military component in the religious victory.
Right, and it's along with the domination victory, like one of the earliest victory conditions you can get.
All right. So I think that's pretty much, we've dove in shown religious combat a couple times, talked about how religion works. So I think we're finally caught up on where we wanted to be on explaining religion. But we're really happy to be able to talk about some new city-states and about both Spain and Norway as well today.
Cool. Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and we will be live streaming again sometime soon.